we stand for pledge of allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to open the meeting?
So made.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and extends the Governor's March 12, 2020 order of suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, MGL 30A, Section 20, until March 31st, 2025. This meeting will be conducted both in person and virtually via Google Meets. Okay, I have no other comments other than that. Item number 2 on the agenda has had a continuance request to August 22nd, 2024. Am I correct on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Can I have a vote, motion to accept the continuance request to August 22nd, 2024?
Motion to continue?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 3 on the agenda is a continued public hearing. Is there are we requesting a continuance to this one? Are we going?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I got an email from their attorney. They were requesting continuance to the August 22nd meeting.
Can I have
And they're
a
going to be
motion?
presenting, hopefully, the concept of the flexible development, and then they will then kind of get your feedback so they can then proceed with more of the hardcore engineering, because it's as you saw in that exhibit I sent you, it's a significant change. So, and from a staff standpoint, we like the direction they're going in. We don't know where it'll finally end up, but we think that the revision and the direction they're going in with flexible development is a far better option than what they proposed as a traditional subdivision.
Are they doing something with that common septic system? Are they going to do something with that common septic system?
They're having it designed, yes.
Okay.
And it's so that's what they're doing. I don't really want to debate it.
Let's talk about.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about it.
I'm not going to open the meeting.
That's what they're doing.
Can I have a motion to continue to August, would you say 22nd?
22nd.
22nd?
Motion to continue to August 22nd?
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 4, a new public hearing will be held at the petitioner for scenic road permit located at 1616 Bay Road, Assessors Map 24, Lot 8, located in the residential suburban zoning district A. The applicant and owner, Theodore Vozella, 1616 Bay Road, Stoughton, Mass. 02072, for a scenic road permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 15C, for the proposal of revising the driveway location, which will require the removal and replacement of stone walls and vegetation within the town right away. Can the applicant please come forward up to this desk? Yes, up there, and just state your name for the record, please.
Green light.
The green light's on. It's on. The green light's on. Press it again. Thank you.
Good.
Theodore Vozella.
Okay. And could you kind of explain what's going on, what you're doing?
What I wanted to do, but I'm kind of hesitant about doing it now, I want to make the driveway wider because we're on an easement on that side of the driveway. So I was going to make the driveway wider. If you're looking away from my house to the right, looking at the street, I was going to I wanted to take like 7 or 8 feet of the wall down and bring the driveway over to the right a little bit. Even though the easement's there, I want to try to put the driveway on my property, you know what I mean? But the way I was looking at it, the last couple of weeks, I might just keep it the way it is and not touch that part of the wall at all. There's no reason to, and I like the trees there that are still there. Keeps a little shade and everything. So that part of it, I don't think I'm going to do. But there's another thing about the wall down the street a little further that's got to be put back a little bit.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the applicant took out trees and
I didn't take out any trees. I didn't take out any trees.
we took out wall.
Yeah, a little bit of wall, yeah.
took out wall in front of if you're looking at it, to the right of the driveway, it goes on it's the neighbor's property, and took out wall. There's roughly, from what I saw on the plans, and there approximately 80 feet of wall that would need to be rebuilt. So we've reviewed this with the city engineer, and that the plans as submitted, they're not to scale. It doesn't detail the walls, where the 80 feet is. We need better engineered plans. I did talk to the applicant today. I know that he's familiar with the scenic road because he's done a scenic road permit on West Street on other property that he owned at one point in time. So we're recommending that, that proper plans be submitted, that the board can look at approving and know exactly what we're going to get, especially with the detail for the wall. That's pretty much what.
So
my
is
letter says.
is the wall that he's looking to replace is not on this plan even?
Not on that plan, no.
There's nothing for us we can review. There's
Yeah.
nothing, we don't know what we've had. Go ahead, sir.
The plan, one of the plans I submitted, I was told I don't know which one you have. I submitted a couple of different things, and on the bottom, what I was asked to do was just to design. It's like a 12 to 18-inch wall that they want to put back in front. I guess it's on the town land.
That's what you submitted.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I submitted.
Right, but that
I just
doesn't-
asked him that.
The 80 feet is over here.
Exactly.
And it doesn't show.
But it should be what he wanted me to do. I mean, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
What he wanted me to do is show where my driveway was going to go. The new driveway.
Yeah, but this is not to scale, sir.
No, it's not to scale, but I wasn't told it had to be to scale. I mean, I'm just going by, I'll do whatever you guys, I'll do whatever the
So
right way, you know what I mean?
Okay, just so the drawings, I'm not sure who told you that, but our regulations require a scale
Okay.
drawing. So, number one. Number two is if you're not doing this work for the driveway, then you'd need to take that off the drawing.
I will.
So here's the thing, we need a finished drawing that we can approve and that we can stamp to say that we're approving this drawing.
If I got to hire an engineer to do this,
It doesn't necessarily have to be an engineer as long as you've scaled the drawing. We never said, I don't think we have to have engineered drawings, we just have to have a scalable drawing.
a scale of how many feet that has to be done.
Well, in other words, showing the lot it's on somebody else's property, so you're going to need
It's
your
actually on
plot.
your property. It's on the town property.
It's in front of somebody. It's
in
within the
front.
right of way. It's within the right
It's
of
on
way.
the town of Stoughton's property.
And it's a
Can I
plan
just
that's to scale.
Just one thing, can I say, the reason why this all happened originally is because, those bushes that grow everywhere that they can't get rid of?
Yeah, the invasive bushes, yep.
Yeah, well, that was all over everywhere, and when we tried to pull in and out of the driveway originally, we couldn't see anything coming, and nobody was willing, so I cleaned it up. I actually didn't take a lot of wall down. If we go back further to like going down south, towards south, there is no wall there, but I'm not complaining. I'll put whatever I have to make everything happy, you know what I mean? I have no problem doing it, but the whole thing was, there is no really wall per se there, but I'll put stones because the stones that are there now, there's some stones I put there. There's no other stones there. I didn't take anything out of there. What I'm trying to get at.
Do you have before and after pictures of what
I
you
do
did?
not, and nobody else does either. Because when the original photos that we all have, or the town has and I have, has all that grass, those bushes in front of it. I forget what, like you said, whatever the name you just said.
The invasive stuff.
That was all in front of all this.
How long ago was that?
Last year. Beginning of last year.
I'm just wondering if you go on Google and you go to Street
They
View,
did do that.
And you can
A couple of
actually
people downstairs, they did, and I looked at it.
Here's what we're going to need. We're going to need a scale drawing, whether
Okay.
you do it or you get somebody that can approve the scale drawing to do it, showing the right of way, showing the town right of way, showing it against your property, the existing, whoever else's property it is, showing how many feet of wall that are missing and how you're going to replace that wall and with what.
Okay, well, with stones, yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay, so you're going to match the existing types of walls that are
Yeah.
there. But I think that's what we're looking for in order that we can approve something. We can't approve something that A, shows work you're not going to do, and B, isn't
Right, well,
scalable, or
yeah,
showing
that's
the
my,
work
that's
that
my
you're
doing.
doing.
I decided not to do the driveway.
Or showing work that you, or not even showing the work location of where it is.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, some of the wall is more of a retaining wall. That's why we're asking for a 1-foot reveal on that neighbor's property that was taken out. Some of that wall was actually a retain. It was a
It retained, so they're starting to wash.
retaining wall that has been pushed in. When they cleared the invasives, that just got pushed in.
Okay. So you're going to have to build that back with a 1-foot height above the
Yeah, 1
grade
foot,
that's
yeah,
there.
so you can see it from the street or whatever you.
Well, no, so it's 1 foot above whatever the grade is, so it's a matter of.
Grade goes down in a slope.
Yeah.
It always went down in a slope.
But I think the intention is to have it be able to be seen 1 foot from the street side, so whatever the back side is.
Yeah, I can
The
put some
topography
stones,
drops off, so the
there's
back
some
side of the
rocks
wall might
back, the
be-
same stuff that's like in
be
front of
2
my
feet,
house.
But the front, we need like so you can see it from the
I
road.
can I'll make it look decent. That's not a big deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Then that's what you would do, just come back before us at a future time to be
So
able
I
to deal with
need,
that.
do I have to hire, I don't have to hire an engineer per se.
If you can get a scaled drawing that shows us exactly what you're doing, I won't have an issue with it. I don't think anybody will have an issue that you have to go get it, unless there's something with the town right away that we need to have it located properly.
Yeah, the main idea here is to have a measurable plan that we can determine the limits of your work, so that we know when you've constructed what's on the
Okay,
plan.
from
The other thing
point
is-
A to point B type deal, and how many feet that is and stuff
Do
like
you
that.
know, and Craig, maybe you know, is there bounds out there so they know that we're supposed to be as far as the line
I
goes?
think they're spotty at best. I mean, there's stone
Yeah.
walls around there, but
So how is it going to line this up? I mean, is it pretty clear where the wall was supposed to go? I guess that's my
I
question.
believe there was an existing septic repair done recently that had a lot of survey information that you might be able to.
Yeah, I have a plan from that.
Yeah,
They
so
sent it to
you
me.
could probably extrapolate from that plan.
Yeah, that's actually the plan that the chairman has, but I wrote on it, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I have a
think-
copy of that I
I
can
think
use.
you can work with that drawing and show the limits of
it's
of your
going beyond
proposed
the other
work.
way,
and-
the other
and
way.
that should
All right, and
suffice.
like I said, from point A to point B, and the lineal feet, that type of deal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the where he's missing. He's missing.
Does he need a surveyed property plan?
So the plan he'd be working from was prepared by.
It's all surveyed.
By a surveyor.
Yeah.
I just didn't want you to go
Yeah.
do something and then find out.
This
you
plan
need a
we're talking about is actually the plan of my property that
Okay.
was surveyed by I forget the name of the company.
Okay.
So the limit of work would be from, the south side of his driveway to where the existing wall had been disturbed. So we're going from point A to point B. We can
Right.
connect those dots. Yeah.
So at this point, I think you should ask for a continuance to a future meeting.
Yeah, could I do continuous? Do I ask you?
Yes.
To
Yeah.
the next hearing date's the 22nd of August.
Well, if you could ask us for a continuance to the 22nd of August.
Fine with me, as long as it's good for you guys.
Can I have a motion with?
We would need plans in at least 2 weeks prior to the hearing.
Yeah, well, I'll try to do
And I
as
recommend,
best I can.
even though you don't need an engineer, I mean, you used
Well,
an, you used an
a
engineer
ruler and
on,
I'll do it as neat as possible.
yeah, you used an engineer on West Street, and obviously it went through much easier.
Right.
It's much easier to do. There are designers that that do things, and landscape designers. They could, certain landscape companies do design build, and that would be cheaper than an engineer. So there are professionals that can draw it for you.
I got a couple of friends that might be able to do something, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I have a motion to accept the continuance?
Motion to continue to August 22nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
It's going to be pretty busy August 22nd.
All right. A new public hearing will be held at the petition for special permit, scenic road permit, and stormwater management permit for 4 lots located at the east side of Page Street across from Ledgebrook Avenue, Assessors Map 95, lots 13, 59, 60, and 61 in residential suburban CRC zoning district. The applicant, Dimitri Deek of 12 Post Office Square, Sharon, Mass. I'm hoping I said that name right, I'm sorry. On behalf of, Dover, Mass., request a special permit under section 6.4 for the permitted clearing of lots without approvals. The scenic road permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 15C, for the proposal of adding driveways on 4 lots, which will require the removal and replacement of stone walls and vegetation within the town right-of-way, and stormwater management permit per Town Code, Chapter 159. Can the applicant or representatives please come up to the table?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant and their engineer are both online.
Okay?
So I don't know who wants to go over, Alex or Dimitri.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Hi guys, how you doing? My name is Alex Chongers with Chongers Engineering.
Now we can't. You need to speak up a little. Hold. Let me just see if we can get us to turn up on our end. Hold on.
You tell me when to go. And can we share a screen? Do you guys have a screen there as well if I share it, or I haven't worked in Stoughton before, so.
Hold on. We're working on it.
Now try.
Alec, can you try speaking?
Let's see.
That's better, thank you.
That's better. Thank you.
Alrighty, you all can hear me?
Yep.
Great. And then do you guys have a screen you can see as well, or is that just am I going to be speaking? Because I'm obviously not there. I'm not sure what you guys can see, but in general, I'm sure you all read the technical review. We have 4 lots we're proposing. I've read through the technical comments. Seems everything's pretty straightforward. Everything we can address easily. And if you would like, well, I can go through the whole entire project with you, or if you want me to kind of let you guys ask any questions, I can. Are you guys able to see my screen? I apologize, I can't hear you from there.
So
Did you say
yes,
you
we
could-
can. So we can see the screen. It's a detailed page that you have up
Perfect.
right now.
Awesome. I just didn't know if you could see it. Great. So here's a lot in Page Street. So we're proposing putting 4 lots in here. We're definitely on a scenic road, so we're applying for the scenic road permit. We're proposing putting. We have a proposal to have 4 driveway cuts, which will be removing the stone walls. And we're going to put, based on the technical review comments, we're going to put the stone walls back with some details. We have some trees that have already been removed without permits, and that's why the project's at a standstill right now. We have a landscape plan proposing putting some new trees in, but we work together with the engineering department and William to try to reduce the amount of trees that are going to get removed for the future project, because we have an initial revision where we had grading, pushing all the water away from the house and going towards the road, or just shedding away from everything, but that resulted in removing a lot of trees. So now we designed it in a way so that the grading is kind of staying the same, and that's why we added additional stormwater structures to make sure there is no stormwater problems down the road, and to try to keep the parcel looking as plenty full of trees as possible.
Okay. So
And yep, sorry. Yep.
why don't we just have you guys talk first? Are you all set? Anything else you'd like to say about it?
I think that's all of it. I can take your questions, and I'm sure if you guys read the technical review, I can kind of go from there and answer some questions.
I'll take the lead on this one. As Alex had mentioned, there's a scenic road permit before you, but there's also a stormwater permit application for the clearing of the land. So you got a couple of things in front of you. This property owner has a grouping of homes that are in common ownership, so that's before you for a special permit under the landscape and standards, conservation landscape standards section, which we've seen before for a few different developers have triggered this in the recent years. So that's what you have before you. They had cleared the lots. This was a well-treed area previously. To credit to the developer, they did save the trees along the property line, and a lot of them up along the frontage as well. But a large portion of land had been cleared in preparation for the home construction. We have been working with this applicant for some time now, because this project requires a sewer extension to go up Page Street. in this area. So we've been working with them for some time in that regard. And then, they started the land clearing, and we triggered the scenic road and the other stormwater permit. So we've reviewed the plans and went over the proposed grading and schematics of what they're going to be doing. Each of these lots will have to come before the engineering department for building permit plans. So at that point in time, we'll take a look at, the specific grading. These houses on these plans are building envelopes with proposed driveway locations and utilities, which we've commented on, some general design themes that we'll be reviewing when they come back before us. So they'll need to finish up the sewer extension permit with the engineering department, the building permit plans individually.
Where are they bringing the sewer from? How far down Page Street?
It's not too far, so I don't know specifically the distance.
It's being performed by another engineering firm, so I can't really speak too much on it, but it's about Ledgebrook Road is right to the left over here. It's right at the start of Ledgebrook Road.
So it's coming up from the pump station at Ledgebrook Road?
I can't correct me. Like I said, I'm not involved in that, but I believe it's all gravity going to Ledgebrook Road.
Right, but then there's a pump station on Ledgebrook Road that pumps from that location up. Is the town taking over that pump station yet?
I believe we already have.
We have?
That, yeah.
Okay, I knew for a while ago back it was a problem, so,
Yeah, we got that one now.
okay. So they're gonna have to dig through Ledgebrook Road, or they're gonna come down in the right of way to the pump station?
They're going to come down in the right of way. Yep.
So as far as just so I understand this, the special permit is because that they already did the clearing before they permitted. Would they have had to come for a special permit prior to clearing? Or wouldn't they would have had to come for a special permit anyway because it's contiguous lots?
Well, if they were developing them singularly, the way the bylaw is written, if he was to pull a permit individually for one lot and then pull another permit for the lot next door under a different entity, he could do it that way. And there is a little loophole in the law, but in the bylaw. But the way it's written now, there's a grouping of homes under.
So he would have had to
common
come
ownership.
before us for a special permit, even if he didn't do the clearing.
If he had done individual building permits, no, he would not have.
But if
He
had come-
cleared in excess of an acre, and they were 4 lots, multiple lots held under
I see.
common ownership. That's the trigger.
because you wanted to do all four of them at the same time, that was.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So did they start this work and pulled no permits, didn't tell the town or anything, and just started doing the work?
The land clearing, yeah, there weren't any permits pulled.
Yeah.
Is that a bylaw we should be looking at?
Well, that is the bylaw we're doing, that's what he's asking for a special permit for now.
But, okay.
No, we're not gonna get into anything with that.
No,
right
no,
now.
but I'm just, on the back burner, we should.
All right. And then the scenic road permit is because he's doing work he's gonna be going across on those existing walls and rebuilding them again?
Yes, and they've removed some trees. They're proposing some tree removal with the curb cuts, with the driveway permits. And my recommendation is, and if you look at the Google image or the street view, the wall is it's in very sad shape. So this is a great opportunity to truly make it, look the intent of the scenic road. So one of the recommendations is that they build in here is that they identify on the plans that they're going to reconstruct the walls to a minimum of 24 inches across all of the
There's
frontages.
actually some walls that are further down that street that if they match those walls, would probably be a good idea to mimic
well,
that coming up.
the one that's just adjacent to them to the north is in bad shape as well.
No, but there's some newer ones that have been built within the past 15 years or 20
Right.
years that are newer down the street that would be good if they mimicked those ones that are there.
Okay, well, we can look at that, and obviously, we're here to talk about those aspects of the thing, and then, they can continue it, take in our comments, take your comments in, revise the plans, and put whatever notes. I know Craig and I have talked regarding the scenic road permit, is that they would rebuild the wall in front of each lot, not do it all at once, because that driveway might shift a little bit. And so we think that each building permit has to rebuild the wall for each entire frontage. Because, as I said, they've done envelopes, and due to the house lot, it may shift a little bit.
The only issue I would have with that is that if they sold off the lots and a different person was building the lots and they didn't get the same person building the stone walls, you're going to end up with different stone walls.
Okay, that's
I would want whatever we're
That's
doing
why
for
we're
the
holding the
whatever we're
hearing.
right, whatever we're doing with the stone walls in that area should be and they're obviously not going to be continuous because they're going to be driveways, but it should be built by the same person so that those walls are consistent.
Okay.
I think that's a good point. And one of the reasons why we sort of thought, all right, do them individually, was that each house is going to have penetrations now for their utilities.
I agree.
But they could stub all that over.
All that can be stubbed over, everything can be brought in, the driveway location could be, that's it, you're done. This is the only place you can put a curb cut. Same as you do on most other roads, this is where it is.
Right.
And you go in that location and you build the wall ahead of time before you turn it over to somebody else to build their home or whatever
Okay.
else.
We'll look at, we'll write the notes down, and that's something. Alex, did you understand what they're looking at?
Yes, I understand. That's the, definitely, I think we are kind of limited on where we can put the driveway curb cuts anyway, since we're trying to avoid the trees, so that does make sense. So we only have a few options on where the driveway can go regardless, so that, I understand what you're getting at.
Okay, so ultimately, a revised plan would show some of those details, but it would also be conditioned that the stubs be done to all 4 of the lots.
Yeah.
Do the breaches of the wall areas, and then set up the
Stonemason.
and then set up the driveways. If you wanted
Yeah.
to, it probably would be easier to pull a partial driveway permit to put the apron in.
Yeah.
That way everything's set up.
It's clean, it's done, it's complete.
Okay.
Right.
So
The other question I have is, what are we entering the road for, water and sewer?
Yes, water and
Are we
sewer.
going to, are we proposing on rebuilding a portion of Page Street? How are we going to fix that? Because that road isn't in that great a shape in that area, and now we're going to start putting patches in it, or what's the plan there?
I think would that maybe make more sense under the condition of the, when they're doing the driveway permit with the engineering department, or under that plan, but that's something we can certainly do if it's a requirement, but, because we're definitely going to be coming in from, you don't have the linear footage on here, but the only portion where the sewer stub's on, like, off the roadway is right in here, so if that's going to be a requirement, that's something we can put together for sure. Just need your input on what you guys would like, or how you guys typically do it for other projects.
I'm having trouble hearing what you're saying, Alex, I'm sorry.
I said, yeah, if that's going to be a requirement or condition, that's something we can certainly consider, and just however you guys done it for similar projects, if it's a
Yeah, so
certain.
normally when we're disturbing a road or making crossings, we require a portion of it to be, rebuilt or put back toward the road specifications, not just allowing a patch to be in that area for the connections. So I'm going to have to look at your drawings a little bit more about how many connections and what we're doing coming off that road. Is it well water in that section, or is it, we have water?
We're on town water.
They have water
So you got water connections, and you got sewer connections, and you're going to be crossing the road.
and the sewer extension, so they're coming right up the middle as well. So it's
So
not
they're going to
just
come up the middle? So, I would say that they're going to have to talk about re-milling and repaving that area, that section
Along
of
the
roadway.
frontage, yeah.
Yeah, from the first lot to the last lot, in order that section of the road gets rebuilt to town specifications.
What about, question I have is, what about natural gas in that area?
I don't know what's in that area.
Oh, sorry, yes, we have gas here, apologize. We're proposing connecting to gas as well.
So you're going to be digging for gas, water, and sewer, so the amount of connections for 4 different homes is going to be about 12 different cuts into the street. Plus you're going horizontally along that whole area for the sewer line. I would put on the plan that you're going to rebuild that section of road in that area and rebuild wherever you're coming down into Ledgebrook for the new sewer line.
Yep, and again, I believe I was a little off on the Ledgebrook. I think the sewer, and we can correct it after, but I believe the sewer extension, yes, this is the existing line here. I can double check the sewer extension plans by the other engineer, but we can certainly accommodate your request for the pavement.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Do these walls have to be dry-laid walls or concrete?
I believe that's how they're constructed now, so they're all like fieldstone walls.
Because I've seen it, I mean, historically,
You don't have your microphone on.
historically, those are the stones that are there were the original walls. So would they be doing a dry-laid wall with those stones, or?
They typically would have to, if there's not enough, they would have to get some more field stones and add them.
Okay.
Like I said, there's existing walls that are on that street that have been rebuilt, and they were nicely done.
Right, some of the, I know the street, and some of
So
them
if
have
they
been
use
done.
that design or use that style, I think that would be something to continuous to run up that area would be good.
Now, do you guys have a particular, like if there was another plan that had that wall that you're talking or referencing that you'd be able to forward to us so we can
I will
show
get, yeah, I'll get the addresses where it is. It covers a couple of different properties on that street, and I'll get those addresses and send them to Bill, and then you guys can go down and take a look at what we're talking about.
And one last question on the trees that are being installed. Is there any rules in scenic roadways where you have to use native type plant materials when restoring? I mean, I know the Amelanchier is a native, but
State law is very ambiguous on it. There's no really bylaw on this.
There's no
It's
bylaw. Okay, I just wanted to check.
So if you have a recommendation for the tree plantings, Paul, please get them to me and I can get them to Alex.
all right, I'll take a ride down the road and see.
Okay.
And we do have
I'm-
the landscape plan if you want to look at as well, performed by the landscape architect, if you want to look for your reference, if you are in agreement with their trees, choice of trees.
And they have the plans in front of them, Alex, the 11 by 17s.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
Chairman, it's Dimitri. I'm the developer here. I just wanted to let you know that we did use Rebecca. She was somebody that was on the town list. She's done some other projects within the community, and we used some of her references as well as some of the existing species of trees on site to be able to mimic and implement some of the native designs already as part of the process.
And is there any protection given to the trees that they left up?
That would be a condition that we could, in our condition under construction, a certain type of fencing for construction fencing. So any recommendations that you would have in that?
All right.
So.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any comments? Questions?
Well covered.
Okay,
Again, the applicant, just one more question and or comment. Would it be so? No opposition on any of the commentary that's been provided so far and anything. Would it be possible to sort of implement some of these things on a as we apply for building permits on each individual, and engineering has to sign off and review on every single house plan? Would it be meaning would be able to obtain conditional approval this evening, subject to the engineering department performing their necessary requirements and or due diligence on every single individual parcel as we come before the next stage would be the building permit process?
no.
No, Alex, this is Bill. No, because it's a special permit, so a decision has to be written, has to be voted on. So what we would look at doing is have Alex revise the comments, revise the plans to address the comments and add the different notes. Then I would prepare a special permit / scenic road permit condition of approval, which then they would be able to, provided that the plans are submitted in time, that they would then be able to vote on and approve. So, our next hearing is on August 22nd. So that would, if Alex in the next three weeks or so, maybe 4. How many weeks do we have till the 22nd?
We got a couple.
Yeah, in the next 3 weeks, if we got all the stuff back, then I would write the draft conditions. The board would review them, vote on them, and then approve them most likely at the August 22nd meeting. And then once they're approved, then it has to get recorded with at the town clerk there's a 21-day appeal period under state law, and then after that, the decision's final.
I'd just like to add, too, that we still need to finalize the sewer extension plans and get you a permit for that. So I would work towards finalizing those documents as well, concurrently with the other work that you're doing with the special permit, so that when that's all said and done, you're ready to go.
Yeah. And then one question for the back to the pavement. Is there this was a miscalculation. Were you guys saying from lot 1 to lot 4? Is that where you'd like to see in the plan for repavement, or is it
Lot 1 to Lot 4, and then however far that the sewer extension is going.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that would have to, whatever the width of the road, however far that sewer extension is going on, that's going to be in paved areas, whether on Page Street or on Ledgebrook.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And then it's good. Any other
So,
questions?
Yeah, so if there's no other, you have another question?
Yeah, I brought up the fact about natural gas. Does he have to show something?
He said that, he says he's going to be doing gas. I didn't see it on the drawings, but he said that will be something they're going to bring in, yes.
Okay, so
Yes, there's a gas line that you can see on the bottom of the plan. We have gas line connections.
You know, and we would, engineering and planning, we would coordinate that everything, in this particular case, we were going to have it stubbed to the backside of every lot would have their utilities stubbed all at once.
Okay.
To the backside of the wall, then the wall can be rebuilt, and then the wall and the trees will not be disturbed anymore. And so when they come in for individual building permits, we know where everything is.
so each property would have an easement for that.
No, it's into their property. It goes into their property. Yep.
Okay.
Bill, is the electrical above ground or below
overhead.
ground? It's below ground?
Yes.
Okay.
Utility, I believe it's utility code.
So you guys can request a continuance at this point in time if you want.
Yep. Press continue to the next August 22nd meeting.
Can I have a motion to accept the request?
Motion to accept?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.
Excuse me? Item number 6, new public hearing will be held at the petition of site. Mike. Item number 6, a new public hearing will be held at the petition for a will be held for a site plan review located at 120 Stockwell Drive, Assessors Map 92, lots 22 and 24 in the I Industrial Zoning District. The applicant, Costco Wholesale Corporation, 45940 Horseshoe Drive, Sterling, Virginia, 20166. Represented by Kevin Coffin, Esquire, Goldstein and Stores, PC, 1 Post Office Square, Boston, Mass. 02109, for site plan review under sections 10.6.2 for a members-only fuel facility consists of freestanding canopy, equipment enclosure, clerk in the loop enclosure, and 12 dispensers providing 24 fueling positions. Can the applicant please come up? Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Kevin Goggin of Goulston and Stores, 1 Post Office Square in Boston, here on behalf of Costco this evening. What I just dropped off with you right there is the physical copy of the presentation that I'll pull up. I'm assuming the best way to put that online is just to sign in. Sure. I emailed it to you, or do you want a hard version? What's the best way? Okay. You have a thumb drive as well? Okay. And Mr. Chair and members of the board, this is really just a summary of the package you've already received. We just wanted to make sure we
Actually, I gotta pull it closer, yeah, we can't, that doesn't record if you don't, sorry.
got it. No worries. We just wanted to make sure there was something for the public to see as we went through this, in case they hadn't had an opportunity to go through the application materials. Before we even start off, I just wanted to level set. We understand that tonight is going to be the initial public hearing on this matter, and that we will need to appear before the board again. Our hope this evening is to present the plan to you, the project as a whole, to take on any questions you may have. We've already received an initial technical memo that reviews some points. I believe separately we're going to receive a traffic engineering memo. Unless those comments were incorporated into the memo, I know there are some traffic-related items that the board may even want to discuss this evening, so we're happy to do that. But what we'd like to do is at the end of this, you're going to see I have a list of action items. My hope is that through this evening, when we receive your comments as well, we'll have 4 or 5 pieces of homework to do between now and the next hearing, so that hopefully we'd be able to get approval at that next hearing. But that's our hope.
You're an optimist, aren't you?
I am. I try. You gotta smile, otherwise you have to cry. So it's a tough one. It is a tough one. But as you can see in front of you, I know most folks are very familiar with this Costco site. This is Stockwell Drive, IKEA Drive. You've got IKEA to the north. You've got Jordan's to the south. But as you all probably know as well, if you can see on here and in the presentation in front of you, a portion of the property is located in Stoughton. A portion of the property is located in Avon. That yellow highlighted area is actually a piece of property that Costco has under agreement to purchase, and that's where the fuel facility will go. We have been in front of the ZBA here in Stoughton for a special permit for use, which we've already obtained. We have a decision for that. In Avon, we have a special permit for the Water Supply Protection District, which we've already received. Appeals periods on both of those have run. We're also going to need to be in front of conservation commissions in both towns to get a new order of conditions for the work associated with the project, and we'll need to go through site plan review in Stoughton as well.
So that's where I want to talk to you. At one point in time, we did discuss at this project that we were going to do a joint between Town of Avon and ourselves as far as the planning went, so that we were both on the same page. We were going to do a joint hearing, however we want to do it. And I thought at that time when we discussed that a while ago that that's how that was going to get set up, and I haven't heard anything since then.
So we've been in contact with the folks in Avon, the town planner there, as well as the chair of the planning board. From my understanding is that they are okay with Stoughton taking the lead on traffic. We will apply to them. We have not been given clearance to do so yet from them. I think they're working out their summer schedule to see when they're going to have quorums ready and when they can hear us. But as soon as they are signed off there for us to apply, we'll do so and appear before them.
Okay, I can coordinate that fairly easily. The chairman for the Town of Avon happens to be my business partner. So we can make that coordination happen very quickly if we need to. So I would prefer to try to get some sort of coordination with the board so that we're kind of on the same page with the way that goes, if we can.
We'd appreciate the help on that.
Okay.
That'd be great. So with all that, that's just starting us off on the first slide. I'll go to the next slide if we may. So our agenda for this evening, we'll do the introductions of the team, discuss the project goals and the project description. Steve Glowacki will go through the project plans and site circulation. John Harder will talk about the site circulation and traffic aspects of the project. We'll go over those action items that I mentioned at the end. That's really an evolving list, so if there are items you want us to include on there, obviously we're happy to do so. And then finally, to take the questions you may have, but as those arise on the during the course of the presentation, we're happy to answer those as well. Next slide, please. With me this evening is John Alvarado on behalf of Costco.
Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for having us.
To my right, you've got Steve Glowacki, the civil engineer in the project from R.J. O'Connell. And then to his right, you've got John Harder from Atlantic Traffic Design, who's the traffic engineer on the project. I'm going to turn it over to John Alvarado now from Costco to discuss the project goals.
Good evening, and Kevin said, my name is John Alvarado, and Director of Real Estate Development with Costco Wholesale. The main goal for this project is bring this store closer to our standards. As most of you know, Costco is member-driven, so we like to provide the same service on every warehouse that we operate across the country, across the world, have the same services on all of them. So this warehouse is one of the oldest warehouses that we have, and we don't have gas. So that's our goal, bring gas to our members and provide one of the services that we provide. And I mean, our members ask for it all over the place, and that's our main goal. Also, with this, John and Steve is going to talk about it. We're going to improve our site. I know traffic and circulation in that area is a little bit challenging sometimes, and during the holidays. So we're aware of that. So on our plans, on our plan, how we're going to build this, we're taking that in consideration. Basically, that's our goal. So if you have any questions on that, I'm more than happy to answer. Yep. I mean, I can. This is our elevations or the fuel facility. As Kevin mentioned, I mean, it's just a fuel facility, members only. We don't have a C-store, so a convenience store. So we don't sell anything here, just gas. This is 3x4 that we call it. So it's going to be 12 pumps with 24 fueling positions. The way that we design, or newest standard we design, these new fuel facilities, we have enough space between dispenser. So, like, for example, you have you have 3 cars, right, lined up, and the car in the middle can leave. You have enough room to maneuver around without doing 3-point turns, and it's pretty easy. And also, you have passing lanes between each fueling lane. Pretty simple. You have a canopy, you have the Costco Wholesale sign on top, and a LED lighting underneath, and a small, we call it a controller enclosure, what it hosts all the equipment and electricity for the function of the pumps. So fuel facility will work, normally it will open at 6 a.m., and we close 1 hour after the warehouse closes. So our members, when they're shopping and they're closing, so they have enough time to put their stuff on the car, go put gas, and then go home. So that's the overall description of the fuel facility and the equipment. I'm sorry?
What time are you open till?
Normally, I mean...
10? The store?
The store closed at 9...
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
And
So-
6 on Saturdays and Sundays, I
Yep.
believe.
So we'll close 1 hour later.
One note on that as well, as a condition of the special permit that we received, those are the hours we have to abide by. So the maximum is going to be that 6 a.m. time frame to an hour after close. So on the weekends, it'll be 7. And during the weekdays, it'll be that later time.
And and to add to that, when we did the special permit, also one of the conditions is that we won't have diesel on site. It's going to be gasoline, regular and premium.
You said you will not have diesel.
We won't have diesel, yes, no.
You answered 3 questions for me, thank you.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of pumps. 20, you could possibly be pumping 24 cars at the same time.
Yes. To be honest, this is not the biggest gas facility that we have. Our newest standard, when we build a new warehouse, we have 32 pumps. And we do, actually John Howder and Steve, they'll be working with me in some other projects in the East Coast when we're trying to, again, expand the existing gas stations, because what we found out through experience is when we have less pumps, you end up having queuings and you're having traffic. So, because this is a members only, right? And you don't, like your regular gas station, you just go park, maybe you go get a coffee, or if it's a Dunkin' Donuts, you get a donut. This is just go pump gas and leave, right? So with this, we increase the processing time and the amount of cars that we can process, per a period of time. So we've been doing, and actually I did it myself in one of the gas stations that we're expanding down in Virginia, and I sit almost like 35 minutes trying to get to the pump. So normally a car fills like between 3.5, 4 minutes, right? So if you have just 2 in line, so you're just gonna have 2 cars pumping, but if you have 4, you have 4 cars pumping that can leave quicker. So that's our mindset, members only, so members don't wait online and try to process cars quicker. So that's why it's the amount of pumps that we have on this project.
I actually like the idea that you have the passing lane.
Yes.
Because I've been to the competition and I've been stuck in line waiting. And it's the same thing. The first car hasn't finished because it's a big Escalade and the car behind it is a small little Pinto or whatever, And obviously it doesn't take as much time, but in the meantime, they can't get out. So.
Yeah, exactly. And also what I mentioned before, our old standard, to put on reference, our old standard between pumps were 23 feet. And actually this came from our field facilities in Florida, that sometimes they have more cars, larger cars than in the Northeast, also in Texas. And so now it's 30 feet between dispensers, right? So you have enough room to go to the passing lane and just get to the pump without, trying to do, turns, and it's pretty comfortable. And in addition to that, something new that we're rolling out in most of, the new gas stations come with that. Any gas station that is three dispensers deep, we have a lighting system, like in the garage, that when you drive in the aisle, you see at the end a red light or a green light to tell you, oh, that's a spot there. So we're doing the same. So if you're, waiting in line, you will see, the number of pumps on like a small traffic light, I will call it, with a pump signal sign, right? And if the car leaves in the middle, that will turn green, telling you, the guy that is in line, you can move on. So that's something that is coming with the field facility to, again, member experience is our goal.
Do you have situations where you actually have people out there that help direct people?
Yes.
Just like you do at the grocery cart line instead of?
Yes. So normally we have 1 or 2 employees at the field facility for that reason, because sometimes a member, the car doesn't work, so they will help. And also, if for X or Y reason there's a small spill or something, they take care of that right away. And in cases where it get way too busy, and we don't expect that in here, but like in the field facilities that we're trying to expand to avoid those traffic issues, we have more employees in the warehouse that go out and help to move traffic and control.
Okay.
One other question I have is because of people pulling out, pulling in and all that, they're going to be incidental contact. Now, in this particular case, where the pumps are in Stoughton, does that involve someone going to call the Stoughton police or the Avon police?
Actually, can you answer that? Sure. Sorry.
So when we were before the ZBA, we had to get sign off from both police and fire on this for public safety. And police actually brought up a few different ideas that we could think about doing. Because the facility is totally in Stoughton, it would be Stoughton jurisdiction. They actually brought up some ideas of maybe putting in like actual markers on the ground. So say you're not even at the fuel facility, you're at the, you're out in the parking lot where it does split. If we could consider different ways of just having a clear delineation, not anything that, just make it easier for the officers. So if there were any questions, they'd know, okay, I'm in Stoughton here, I call and I go ahead, this way. But it would probably take, if you had that incident where it was, right on the line, I think there would need to be some coordination between the two possibly.
And most important, who gets the tax revenue from this gas station? Stoughton.
I believe, yeah, exactly, because the assessed value of the property, right, which I think both towns, or Stoughton will be the main beneficiary of, I believe.
Thank you.
Next slide, please.
Thank you. Excuse me. For the record, Steve Glowacki with R.J. O'Connell and Associates. We are the civil engineers on the project, and I'd like to take you through the issues and items related to the site. As you can see, the aerial up there. The Costco the parcel is located at the north end of Stockwell Drive. You're probably very familiar with it. Jordan Furniture sits located to the south, with IKEA sitting to the north, and finally Route 24 along the east side. The facility itself, as was mentioned, will be primarily located in that yellow area, which is a 2.5-acre site that Costco is looking to acquire. So again, that's all in Stoughton. Next slide, please. The existing conditions, a little bit on the site. Again, I know most of you will know this information, but the building straddles the Avon and Stoughton town line. Access for the site currently is provided by Stockwell Drive and consists of a single ingress and egress lane entering the site from the south portion of the site. A majority of the parking is provided at the south side of the building, with some parking at the side and the rear of the building. I believe we talked about that ahead of time prior to our coming before you. And a portion of the parking that you see on the south is separated by the interior access lane, and I'm going to address that a little bit later on. Parking is a bit of a challenge around the front, as we discussed, and again, we have some improvements for that as well. Even though it's outside of the Stoughton area, we think it's important to look at the site holistically, of course. Could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. For the overall site plan, the proposed portion of the site we'll discuss right now. The location of the fuel facility will keep the fuel operations separate from the main Costco warehouse operations in the sense that it keeps the traffic up on the west side and out of the way, which will minimize impacts to the general operation of the warehouse, including visiting patrons and the like. Access to the site will be improved with modifications to the existing roundabout and the addition of an inbound and outbound lanes. And Mr. Harder will expand upon that in a moment. In addition, with concerns of the parking challenges that I mentioned earlier, we plan to add a small bit of parking at the southeast corner over in the Avon portion. And we also plan to push the perimeter access road further southbound, thus moving that parking into the main lot, sort of pulling that orphaned lot, if you will, into the main parking. And again, while not specific to the gas facility, we think it's important as it makes an improvement to the parking and the experience overall, in a much safer condition at that. Could you go please to the next slide? So as noted, the fuel facility will sit on the west side of the site. It'll be a self-service facility with at least one attendant present at all times. And the hours have been discussed, of course, in terms of this being 6 a.m. to 1 hour after closing. Could you jump to the next slide, please? There are a number of site improvements planned for this, of course, and chief among them is the inclusion of a comprehensive stormwater system as outlined in the stormwater management report that was submitted with the package. It'll include catch basins with deep sumps, oil stop valves in the fuel dispensing area, oil water separators, hydrodynamic particle separators, and subsurface stormwater basins. The project stormwater design will comply with Mass DEP stormwater standards and the Town of Stoughton stormwater management bylaws to the maximum extent practicable. And the goal of the stormwater management system, of course, is to increase stormwater quality by providing the required TSS and total phosphorus removal, and also result in the overall project will result in matching or decreasing the peak rates of runoff and discharges from the site. That's my stormwater spiel, and I won't get any further than that.
I have a question on that.
Oh, yes, by all means.
And my question leads to, are you purchasing this land from IKEA? Because they, okay. Because my question being is, if it was their runoff, did they include this in their runoff?
So when we evaluate the stormwater, it's almost, in a sense, we evaluate it independent of property lines, if you will.
Right.
In the sense, we evaluate the stormwater runoff for the way the mechanics of the stormwater work today, running off different portions of the site, and then it's the onus is on us to make sure that when we design the system, it mitigates or holds back the water so that at no point does the water increase to any one of those points, whether it be runoff toward IKEA or toward the Jordan's area. There's a basin down there. So as I mentioned, it's really irrespective of property boundaries. It's more about controlling where the topography and the stormwater flows.
Okay, thanks.
Peter, just north of the property on the plan is the IKEA stormwater management area.
It's not part of the lot.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I just been wondering.
Independent.
Could you jump to the next slide, please? Very briefly on utilities, we're planning on providing new utilities for the fuel facility. That would include water service and sanitary for the single bathroom that's in the kiosk building that Mr. Alvarado mentioned earlier, an electric service as well. And there are no utilities. It's important to note there's no utility upgrades planned for the warehouse itself, as you know, everything is running the way it should. Could you please move forward to slide 12? Thank you. Landscape. So within your packet, you'll see a comprehensive landscape design that will be installed with a mix of shade trees, shrubs, perennials, and ornamental grasses. There are planting tables that are associated with that. I will be frank, I can't pretend to know all the species and variety, but it's been designed by our landscape architect, Michael D'Angelo. And with that, that really ends the site portion. I'd like to pass this over to John Harder with Atlantic Traffic to pick up from here.
Okay, good evening. John Harder, Harter. I'm with Atlantic Traffic. I'm a senior vice president. Just a little background, I'm licensed as a civil engineer in Massachusetts and about 10 other states, based out of the New York area, but have worked for Costco over 20 years, currently actively working on about 10 different sites in 10 different states. And this is a project that we're very involved in. Obviously, we've done a traffic study that was submitted and revised June 13 of this year. And that's the scope of the report was based on feedback from both towns. John Alvarado did a great job of explaining the fuel. It's unique, efficient, and one way. I think one aspect that we can add to is their longer extended hoses are used, so vehicles don't have to worry about like which side of the pump they're on. So really every factor of efficiency has been thought very, very, very well through. 24 fuel positions is the standard. There were some questions about that. About 30 plus years ago, the early versions had 12 fueling positions. It went to 16, 18, and now 24 is really the standard. There's some few sites that have more, larger facilities. John mentioned 32, but 24 really does seem to be a generous size for this site. I've counted many different Costco facilities. This is a relatively low generator for a warehouse compared to other facilities. When we did our counts, they were done in October. We looked at a Thursday, we counted 6 to 10 in the morning, and then in the afternoon 2 to 7 in the evening, and then Saturday 10 to 4. So 14 hours of data at a number of intersections. The real focus here is on the roundabout and Jordan's northern driveway and our main access into the site. The other thing that's unique about this Costco is it's rare to have a single driveway serving Costco. It's typically a signalized access and multiple secondary access points. So this is unusual. The counts, just to give you a perspective of, we look at peak hours, so we look at all that data, and then we focus on what is the peak hour for each period. And the morning, if we look at just the Costco volumes today in and out, it tells a pretty clear story that Saturday is by far the peak time of activity. On the weekday morning peak hour, we had roughly 150 cars or trips in and out in a peak hour. PM 435, and then Saturday was double approximately the PM, so about 870. So really Saturday by far is the time that we found capacity issues for the site. Specifically, the peak hours are 9 to 10 in the morning, 4:45 to 5:45 in the evening, and then Saturday 1:15 to 2:15. So that's really the focus of my discussions today, would be the Saturday peak hour. And when we model the intersections using, so the roundabout, Jordan's furniture access, and into our site, we use Synchro, which is a standard model that traffic engineers use. And there's a component of that called sim traffic, and it allows you to show the model the traffic and show it randomly enter and exit as it does in real world. And what we could see from the model is that on that Saturday we would find backups into the site from the roundabout. So westbound, leaving the site to the roundabout, we were seeing up to about a dozen cars backing from the roundabout. And that starts to block several of the cross aisles at the site. So we recognize that there really, mitigation is necessary to improve the current conditions and to address the additional traffic from the fuel facility. The fuel facility is not all new traffic, so there is a component. You hear about pass-by, there's some pass-by, there's new traffic, but there's internal capture. So we expect that much of the volume of traffic will be warehouse customers that will now also get fuel out of convenience when they're at the site. We've interviewed fuel customers at 7 Costco facilities, actually 3 of them in Massachusetts over the years. And when we look at the Saturday, we found that about 55% of the fuel traffic is already going to the warehouse. So it's not all new to the area. So to look at this was a challenging exercise in terms of mitigation because we have one access point. Earlier on, there was a consideration, could we get access off of IKEA Way north of the roundabout? And that's not a viable option. We don't have, those rights for access. So we then focused on what can we do to improve the current design. And maybe it's better if I point over here, my pointer. So today, one of the challenges with the Costco access, as I said, there's just one lane in, one lane out. And in the proposed condition, we're looking to widen from the roundabout into our site and make a cross section that would be 4 lanes across. The other thing that we found is that the roundabout has limited capacity westbound because there's just one lane westbound as Costco and Jordan's traffic enters the roundabout there. So the idea is to widen that to 2 lanes. You have a left-only lane and then a through right lane. And we found from our counts out of the Costco, Jordan's contributes a minor amount of volume to that approach, but we found about 2/3 of the traffic makes a left and heads towards south on Stockwell, and about 1/3 heads west towards, Turnpike Street. Limited volume will go up towards IKEA. So the idea is to get a separate left turn only lane, because that's a predominant exit movement, and then a through right. And at the roundabout, our firm has folks that just focus on roundabouts and bridges and highways, et cetera. I had several engineers look at how can we retrofit this roundabout and make improvements. It's about an 18-year-old roundabout. The pavement markings, the signage are very faded. They're really not even current with MUTCD. The geometry also has is outdated. So the improvements that you see, and we'll provide the town with much more detail, assuming that the geometry and the lane configuration is acceptable, we would modify the islands because the geometry is not correct or current recommendations, signage and pavement markings to also be compliant with recommendations by the MUTCD. But by widening Stockwell Drive then from the roundabout into the site and getting 4 lanes, we increase the capacity. Today, just the 2 lanes across the Jordan's Furniture driveway, and that's an unusual intersection. You have a T intersection, but there's stop condition on 2 approaches, and it doesn't work very well. We have a stop on the Jordan's exit, and then we have a stop sign for Costco exit. On Saturday, you really don't see the Costco traffic stopping very, very much because of the heavy volume exiting. By creating this T intersection with a street with 2 lanes in each direction, we get more capacity. We can make it a traditional T with just a stop on the Jordan's approach. And now Jordan's there's more capacity for traffic to flow past the Jordan's driveway, so they will have an easier time of exiting with that condition.
Please highlight
Sure.
the direction of the gas station. So we're going to come in this way.
Sure.
One way this way, and the exit is on the other end, or?
Great. Okay, I was just that leads into what I was going to next. So, as you come, thanks. As you come in eastbound from the roundabout, we open up to 2 lanes, and we're going to create. The idea is to create an exclusive left turn lane that comes up to the entrance to the fuel, and that is purely that left-in only lane is for fuel traffic. So they would make this first left opportunity, which is one way in, and then they would enter the queue, which is one way northbound, and stack up. We can accommodate about 60 cars within the fuel facility, which is more than we expect to need, but certainly during a typical time period. Holidays, you could see some volumes close to that. So the other thing we've done is as you come into the site today, I don't have the existing conditions up, but it's a pretty undesirable condition today. You drive in to the site. To your right, there's an orphaned parking lot that's outside the main driveway, and then you essentially, as you come in, there are 3 cross aisles that very immediately are right at the main entrance to the site. So it's really not an ideal situation. So our attempt here, we eliminated that outside parking area, and Steve's got a wall here to accommodate that and realign the driveway. And now we've gotten rid of that outside cross aisle, and even though there are 2 aisles here today, but they're just one way. You have just a one way in for that left into the fuel, and then as the fuel traffic exits, they can either make a right. We'll have signage here to explain that they can either leave, and they would go down this one-way aisle and exit. They have to stop here at this location, or there's more signage that would tell them they can make a left and then proceed to park if they're going to the warehouse. Okay. And at this intersection, a little bit more on that, what happens is we would stop the fuel exit traffic, and then you have inbound that was free flow, and you have the outbound from the main parking area that's free flow. And there was a comment that we received in the technical review that Bill provided that had questioned really the angle of this approach. And what we really actually like the angle there. One thing I saw on the landscaping plan, we do want to eliminate the trees that I saw on that island, because we do want good visibility. When you get out of the fuel and you stop at the stop sign, stop line, we want you to be able to look left and clearly see when you have a gap to leave. So we'll fix that. But as that traffic leaves, it has a new lane develops right at that point. So that traffic is really entering its own lane as it heads toward the roundabout. And then traffic, as is the case today, leaving the parking area, there's its own lane as you exit. And then that traffic can change lanes as necessary depending on where they want to go when they get to the roundabout. So we've really thought this through in a lot of detail. We looked at many different layouts, and we think it's a really efficient design with we're eliminating conflicts that are there today, improving sight distance, trying to make a better alignment, a straighter alignment for the driveway. And the mitigation that we're proposing, we believe, is going to mitigate beyond just what the fuel is adding. It's mitigating some of many of the problems you see today.
So, one other question I would have.
Dan, you're off.
Sorry. At the Jordan's entrance, would there be a way or a thought process of maybe putting a tabletop speed bump, maybe, a car length or 2 car lengths towards the rotary from that in order to be able to cue the traffic coming out of Jordan's?
So eastbound as one leaves the
Coming in there, right?
this eastbound direction, so somewhere in here?
Exactly.
Yeah, we could look at that idea, yeah. There is actually, we have a pedestrian crossing here, so maybe that might be an approach.
That might be too far down. Well, it might not be. What we're looking to do is try to create some sort of a gap. So as cars, normally during the week, Saturdays, most Saturdays even, it's probably going to be okay. It's going to be Christmas time and New Year's, and when Jordan's is running their specialty stuff,
I've heard about
they
that.
got 1,000 cars going in and out of there, and then Costco's trying to run 1,000 cars. And that's when the issue's going to be, and that's where all the problems are going to
You
cause
haven't seen that?
No, I've heard, we from our other public meetings, we've.
Yeah, so that's where, so I'm just trying to make sure that they actually have a queue to get in and get out, and that's, it's a tough intersection. I know you're trying to deal with it. I'm not crazy about the way. I'm just not sure. I mean, I like the idea of being able to get on the IKEA way, but obviously you can't do it, so it is what it is at this point.
And an earlier concept too, by the way, was we counted the Jordan southern driveway, and there's very limited usage there. And we thought of maybe directing more of Jordan's traffic to that access point, but what we then learned, and from my site visit, it was brought up at another meeting that there's actually sight distance issues leaving that driveway. So we thought that wasn't a good idea, and doing what we can at the northern access is best.
One other question I have is, you said earlier that you said about 50% of the people that are using the gas station on any given day would be normally going to the store. So you're increasing traffic to the store by another 50%, whatever that number is. I mean, if it's 100 people coming in there, you're increasing 50 more cars a day, or whatever the period is.
No, not necessarily. That traffic already going to the warehouse today is going to use the fuel.
Like
So
50% of them are going
about 50%, correct.
So it'd be 50% increase of cars going into that parking lot than what would be presently there today.
Oh, wow. That's not exactly how I'm describing.
No, okay, I shouldn't say that. Let me say that there's going to be X amount of cars, whatever that is. There's going to be a number of cars that are going to increase coming to that intersection, into that street area, than what presently is now today.
Right.
Whatever that number is. How is that going to impact the other roadways coming up? So Stockwell Drive coming up to the Rotary, and I forget the name of the road that goes out to Turnpike Street.
Thea Way.
That's a continuation of IKEA Way, okay. So that street there, how is that traffic, that increase in vehicles, going to affect those streets and the other intersections that are beyond that? The intersection that's all the way down at Central Street and other stuff.
Right, so the intersection, south of the roundabout, we did study the Jordan's Furniture driveway. That's the only driveway within its Merchants Park that we studied. And then the next intersection we were asked to look at is the signal at Harrison Boulevard or Dykeman Way, Central Street. It has a lot of different names.
Yep.
We did study the 2 signalized T intersections down at that location.
And what type of impact did this have on that?
We've had very limited impact because most of the traffic is, at that point, Bill and I talked about this early on, within the development, we didn't take a credit for pass-by, because the pass-by trip really occurs on Harrison Boulevard. So that traffic might be passing Merchants, I want to get the name right, Merchant Park, but the right-in would be going to Costco all the way there. It's really a new trip, but at that location, it's a pass-by because we expect to capture traffic going to work, for example, or coming home from work. So we really didn't have much of a new component of trips at that intersection. We found one level of service degradation for exiting on the site onto the main road, and we found 1 second of green time change would mitigate that movement. So we really had limited impacts there. That's such a small change in timing, I don't think it's valuable in making that change.
So you said you did traffic counts, but all the traffic counts were up at Costco. They weren't any further down the road?
They were also at Stockwell and Harrison.
And that was done when?
They were done in October of last year.
Did you also do?
Was
a
that before Christmas tree shop had closed?
That was right around the time.
You know, the only reason I'm asking is there's a fairly large plaza where the Christmas tree shop was that's actually empty right now, which wouldn't have vehicles or wouldn't have had vehicles when you were doing that count. And I'm wondering how much of an impact, if that does get filled back in, would be impact into your numbers overall. That's my part of my question for that.
I don't expect us off-site. I think our impacts are really at the roundabout and within the site, because once you go outside of that, we have limited new traffic. A lot of the traffic is either pass-by, so it's, as I said, it's traveling along Harrison and then goes in to the site and then goes back out on its way to, to work or home.
No, I realize that, but if the cars are coming into the site, whether you're calling pass-by or not, if you're increasing X amount of cars coming to your property, that's coming from Harrison Boulevard or coming from Turnpike Street. So those vehicles that's the impact that you would have at those intersections. I mean, that's why I'm asking about that.
Right. We don't expect it to be a heavy impact. It's really focused on the roundabout where we're going to add traffic and the entrance to the site.
So did you get a traffic count on Akia Way going into that roundabout?
Yes, northbound. We
Yes.
counted the entire roundabout.
Okay.
So
The other question that I have is, from the roundabout in to your property in Jordan's, okay, who owns that stretch of road?
The owner, they own the roads, is the seller of the parcel, so it's the developer, the original
sorry.
developer of the area. Sorry.
Okay.
So the owner of those roads, the owner of the roads is the seller of the property that we're pursuing to purchase, and he's the original developer of the area.
Okay, so that's the owner of Merchant Park.
Yeah.
Okay, no, the reason being is we've had other issues with these shared driveways, and then we get one of these finger pointing exercises, who owns it when there's a repair necessary?
I was going to say, I believe the actual entity is Avon West Trust that owns that, but we need to confirm it.
Thank you.
So back to you were saying 55% of the people coming in would use the gas facility. So if we,
So of the trips at the fuel facility that are using the fuel facility, so on Saturday, we project about 170 trips entering, 170 exiting the fuel. About half of that is also already would already be at the site using the warehouse.
okay, so of 100, just using 100 for a round figure, 45 would be
New.
not using it.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
They would just be going to the warehouse.
That's 55% of that, 55 cars would be already going to the warehouse, and now we build the fuel. Those 55 are using the fuel in that peak hour, and then 45 are new to the site because of the fuel. They're fuel only.
Okay.
Rich?
I assume that only members can use your fuel facility?
That's correct, and we were asked to add signage to make that clear.
Okay, good. So that means a member could come in and just fuel up and not go to the warehouse?
That's
Or
right.
they could go to the warehouse and get fuel, or
Right.
go to the warehouse and not get fuel? Those are
That's
the
right.
only-
So that 45 out of the 100 there would be fuel only, as an example.
Thank you.
So what happens when a non-member goes up to the station? Does it just get denied?
If they
Or
don't have
they
a, if
can
they don't have a,
join right then and there.
if they don't have a card, they can't get it.
So basically, in the way that this function is, you get to the pump, you need your membership card to activate the pump.
Yeah.
So you have a valid membership card, you cannot pump gas.
Okay. One other question that I have is you're adding these 24 fuel pumps. Are you doing anything about adding electric charging stations to Costco's?
The answer is not in this project. A lot of jurisdictions across the country, I mean, electric cars, green energy, we're up to it. You know we like to be green, and we empower that in our company. The challenge that we're finding with electric charging stations is, one, sometimes take premium parking for our members. They're not used as much as we want to. And what we've been seeing, and I mean, we conducted, asking members, and normally if you go to Costco, you're coming from home or you're coming from work. And that's when you basically pass the most amount of time that you can charge your car. So normally the cars are charged already. But I mean, we're not opposed to it. If it's required in the town, I mean, we can take a look at it. But we don't have anything planned for this.
You don't want your milk sitting in the car for 4 hours while you're waiting for a charge.
No, but it would enhance your shopping experience time. I can't leave yet, the car's not charged.
Was there any reduction in parking spaces for this project?
Well, it's a new property, so
Essentially, the parking is a net, but there is a slight downtick of 4. We lost 4 spaces overall. It seems hard to imagine that we lost 4, but because of the reconfiguration and things like that along that west side. But again, I think it's important to note the fact that we moved that orphaned parking and added the additional parking at the southeast corner by the entry helps pull that underutilized parking toward the front where it really, frankly, belongs.
And one other note on that too, at one point, when the project was first presented to the ZBA, I think we actually gained a number of parking spaces, but through comments from the Board of Appeal, we reduced the number. That entranceway into the fuel facility, we had parking included there, but through comments from the ZBA, we decided it didn't make sense to have it there.
Their initial plan had a big parking lot down there, and we're like, no one's gonna park in the parking lot and walk 1,600 feet to the front of the thing, and it's wasted. I mean, we were just like, we had 2-3 pre-apps with you guys?
At least.
Yeah. And one of the things with parking that I mentioned, because whenever these start coming in, every time after the first pre-app came in, I'm a Costco member, so every time I go to the store, I drive around the back, and I pointed out to Mr. Alvarez every single meeting we've had that they are not used. I believe the initial decision was those are supposed to be employee, and every single time I was like 2/3 of the parking in the back is not used. And so therefore, but the employees are still there. So I've been a broken record on that one.
The other question I have, do you realize how much rock is up there?
And in order to do that, I'm apologize. Trust me, that request to the warehouse manager, but I will do it again, and I hope we can fix it.
So, Craig, what else do we have from you on this?
Yeah, so it's probably a good time for me to jump in here. There's a lot of discussion about traffic, and there are some comments in our review letter for some on-site circulation issues that we saw. I don't particularly love the intersection right at the entrance to the gas pump area. I think there's a lot of wide open space there and some room for confusion, and I've actually drawn up a little sketch. It's easier to sometimes show pictures than describe in words that I'd like you to at least consider there. Another on-site circulation item that we had concern with is the parking area. It's to the right side of the screen. I guess, is that west of the gas pumps? I don't have a north arrow there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's the north, to the right-hand side.
This area right here, I really don't see the need to have traffic be able to flow in this direction and around. I think it might add confusion for people exiting the pumps to have some more vehicles coming in from that other area, and then these people might want to start traveling down this one way by accident. So I think it would be best to just kind of close this off.
Actually, is that this drawing here? It looks like the one way is going one way and they have arrows on the ground going the other way.
Yeah, it's both directions there. It's a little confusing, so I think it'd be best to close it off. But in general, I like what's going on at the entrance, the extra lane there, the modifications to the roundabout and so forth. We've looked at projects similar to this in Stoughton, a membership club that had membership gas previously. This one has some extra complications with the existence of the roundabout and the Jordan's driveway and things like that. And for that reason, I think this one we should at least engage GPI to take a look at the traffic study and take a look at. In my letter, I had suggested some additional information at the roundabout. So, striping plans, more dimensioning, what kind of signage do we need now that we have, 2 lanes going into the roundabout? I think the plans need more detail in that regard. And that's something I'd like our traffic consultants to chime in on. Okay. I'm by no means an expert on roundabouts, and they certainly are. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much sums up my traffic comments.
Yeah, and one of the things, we didn't look at sending it out immediately because, but then traffic's after this meeting and we were talking. So we will look at sending it out. We'll have to get an estimate and then, because we never took in a fee for it. So we'll look at getting the estimate, getting it to you. The process, then we just get a deposit and then we can have GPI take a look at it. So
2 times that you're going to have severe traffic issues there. Number one is the end of August, and that's when the colleges open up in Boston, and everyone floods to IKEA. And the other thing is going to be from around Thanksgiving time till after New Year's. Everybody floods to Jordan's Furniture because they have the Enchanted Village.
And those blueberry muffins.
But, I actually used those in the Yankee swap, and they loved them.
One other point I'd like to just bring up, and you mentioned it earlier about the members-only signage. I think that's really important here because if we just have signs for, Costco gas and it doesn't specify members only, we're going to generate those new trips that aren't factored into the traffic study. So I think that's real important to make sure that that's clear.
So, and speaking of signage, there's 2 questions I have. Is there going to be signage further down, say at Harrison Boulevard or further down IKEA Way, talking about directions to Costco? Okay. Then the other question I have, and this is per code review, we need to look at the signage that exists in the building if we're adding signage to this site here and how that's going to go forward.
It's a separate lot, and the canopy is considered a building, so that's the way I interpret it. I mean, it's not. It's a separate structure, even though. So we will.
But is it technically a separate lot? It's not, because they're going to combine the lots, right?
As of now, it's a separate lot.
No, but when you're said and done, is it going to be a separate lot? It'll be a combined lot, right?
I'd have to check I just don't remember the definition of lot off the top of my head, whether it's controlled ownership or identical. I'm assuming it might be identical ownership to merge it.
Right, but it'd be
for zoning purposes.
contiguous ownership. So it'd be still considered one lot.
It's worth noting, I think, and I can hand it over to John, the signage for this project is very limited. This is not.
No,
like-
I understand. It's just a technicality because you're coming for us for a structural permit. I just want to be sure what we've got for signage
Well-
and what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, we did the same thing with BJ when, we did the same
Okay,
exercise.
yeah, I looked at it as separate lot, a separate structure.
But it's
so
not-
it would need to meet the sign code for that building, and not need and if they had two signs on two sides, because they can only have two signs, they can have freestanding sign and a wall sign or two wall signs. If not, you'd need a special permit. I could talk to Jack, the building commissioner, and get his take on it.
Why don't you do that?
So-
Just as a question.
Well, speaking of signs, I believe there's a sign for Costco's on 24 up above. So even though that's not Stoughton, that's Avon, would you be adding gas?
No.
Okay.
And I mean, going back to the signs, I mean, they're not that big, and they're not backlighted. It's just typical sign with just, a light shining on it. But we will comply with the code.
Yeah,
basically.
I understand. I'm just looking to make sure that we cover the base on it.
And
It's
we will
kind of stuff that's
coordinate.
come back and bit us after the fact. I just don't want to come back. That's all.
Yeah, worst case is if you get approval and then we had a Chase Bank, we had an approval, and their building and the way they had the signs, I kept on telling them, well, you didn't show the signs. You're going to want a sign here, here. You will not meet our sign code. So when we look at it, it would need a special permit from the planning board to vary from the sign code, and that you're under construction or finished and the sign company comes in, and then you have to call Kevin and come back before us versus, and we tried to get Chase Bank to, and they didn't, but they know they've got to. So we're just trying to head things off so that when you want an occupancy permit and signs, and you've got to come back and do this again.
The other, I'm sorry. I was just going to say one other sort of technical issue that makes it a little awkward here is most of the building, and I think a lot of the signage is actually in Avon. So it's not, we can talk it through how that would work, but the signage you have.
That's kind of the reason I wanted to have a combined meeting when I talked to
Fair
them
enough.
at the beginning.
Fair enough. And I do think for purposes of signage, we'd have to evaluate what's the signage in Stoughton, what's the signage in Avon.
Agreed.
It's by the bylaw.
Agreed.
So.
Yeah.
But again.
That's how I looked at it I looked at the canopy as a structure as the building. So,
Okay.
One of the things that was said that makes me a little unsettled is if you haven't gotten your conservation approval and they make changes, and you've closed this hearing,
Well, we won't close it without their
and you
approval.
have to make changes, then you have to go through the entire process again.
And it was our understanding, this was the initial hearing. We were going to request a continuance at the end here.
No, but if you're not, you said your goal is to have a set of conditions and an approval on August 22nd.
Would you like us to come back on August 22nd? I mean, we'd love to,
Well,
but we could, and we could certainly, we're scheduled to be before the Conservation Commission, I believe, for the first hearing might be,
25th.
the 25th.
Of August?
So, of July of this month.
So I was worried that you were going to seek a site plan approval prior to the Concom being finished.
No, that's not our intent.
I would prefer you not do August 22nd because we already have 3 continued and I have 3 brand new projects.
Our preference, I think, would be, and if timing would work this way, would be once we finish up here, the questions and everything, if we make the formal request for the 22nd, and if it was realistic for us to address all your points before then, to be back before you. But if we thought we were going to be held up due to Conservation Commission, if we hadn't cut up an Avon
And
yet.
unfortunately, our traffic review, I think we had a wires on that one, on the traffic
Oh,
review.
Okay, so, you know, we could still, if we needed to continue that hearing, if August 22nd was going to meet it, we'd certainly give you advance, you know, well in time for it to be posted on the agenda that would be continued to the September meeting or whatever the next meeting would be.
We would typically request the board to authorize the peer review anyway for traffic, so
Yeah.
we wouldn't have gone ahead with that without you on that. so.
Yeah.
That being said, will we be doing a joint meeting with Avon? And I'm not sure when they meet either.
I believe you need to talk to the chairman.
I think we'll get that happen. I don't know when that's going to happen. It's not going to happen in August, so that's going to be part of the issue with that right now.
We only have
Yeah,
one
we only have
meeting in
one
August
meeting.
and one in September
Right.
due to quorum issues with board members being gone.
So also, I mean, I think can work if you agree is we have to be in front of Avon as well. So we would like to have the first meeting with Avon, right?
So when are you meeting with Avon?
We do not have that scheduled yet.
So my idea is we meet with Avon, do the same presentation, right? So they also have time to digest the project, have any comments. We can address your comments, Avon comments, and then we can do the joint meeting so everybody's in the same page. I think that can be the goal. And at that point, I hope to have already ComCon on both towns, approved. Actually,
so
they're on the Avon ComCon tonight.
Okay, so what I would propose then is first we would try to take a vote on the GPI, authorizing you to go for GPI. And the second one is I would ask you to continue to our September meeting so that you can get through the steps that you just spoke about and make it happen in September. And I don't remember what the date in September is right now.
Are we still
The
in?
last meeting in,
I know it's the last meeting in September.
because I know, let me get I know you,
The 12th in the,
the 12th, the September 12th meeting is not happening
Not
because
happening,
you have
right.
quorum issues. It would be
26th.
the 26th.
So we would request that you, or you should request to us to continue the 26th at that point.
The only thing I'd like to do before then is we actually have a few slides left, the presentation.
Okay,
isn't
sure.
complete. So we'll knock
Oh,
those,
please.
we'll do those very quickly, and then we'll go ahead and make the formal presentation. I
I
think
don't mean to be shutting your presentation, I'm sorry, I thought
Oh,
you
no,
were
not
done,
at all,
we kind of
not
pushed
at all.
it in front of you, my fault.
that's all right. I don't know, John.
Here we go, signage.
John's still on his script.
I don't have to spend much time on this. This just demonstrates the MUTCD regulatory signage we would add at the intersection that we've been talking about with the fuel egress and the left end to the fuel, and then within the fuel facility. This doesn't include the roundabout, which we would also provide. And then the lower right has the two guide signs we mentioned, or I mentioned, as you egress the fuel facility, telling you to either leave to exit to your right or left to park and go to the warehouse.
Could you go back one slide for me for a second? Just go back to the,
One more?
no, you got the one-way sign in the parking lot, isn't that going the wrong way?
Oh, you're right, that's what I was saying. The one above the stop sign.
Yes, I think it's just confusing because of the way, so if we could zoom in and look at the leader of that sign, it depends, it has to do with, sorry.
You have a problem with that microphone.
I don't know why. But it's a little misleading. You'd have to see where the leader is pointing for the face of the sign, but it's not pointing in the opposite, it's pointing in the correct direction.
For the entry
no, it's-
into the gas station.
That's a one-way into the fuel.
Oh, I see, I'm sorry,
So
I
it's
do see what
hard
you're saying,
to-
yes.
See on that.
Oh, you're showing that.
It's an illustration issue.
It's an illustration issue, yes, I do see that. I'm
Thank you.
sorry, you're right.
We'll have to take
You
credit
actually
for
got
that.
it depicted twice from both signs. I
I
have a
think you
question.
just need to put that sign somewhere else on the plan when you're doing it.
You're going to go into the wetlands.
Just put it somewhere else.
They have it right there in the upper corner, and it's depicted on both sides of the entry, and then they have that second one that depicts it.
Yeah.
But if you
Third
look at the
time.
layout of the parking,
So it's being depicted
No, but
three
it's
times.
it's
just showing
it's a
what the
picture
sign
to
is.
show you that we're going the one way, it's over here, it doesn't belong there.
Right, but it doesn't even belong on the map.
Right.
Right.
No, I get you, that's fine, we're good. Go ahead, go on.
Let me get some white out and put that on
No,
there.
go on. Yeah. So, good.
Oh, if you go back a few to, I think it's 15, slide 15, please. So here's just the action item slide, and this is what I mentioned at the beginning. What we're hoping will be the items that we need to address before we meet with you now in that meeting in September. I think it's grown a little bit, which was sort of the intent of tonight's meeting. So we did receive that draft technical memo on July 3rd. We've had an opportunity to review that. The majority of comments we think we can implement. There's a few that I think what we're going to have some questions on, and we'll do some analysis, and we'll go back. I understand that the assistant town engineer is going to share a sketch with us, and we'll see what works as far as intersections. We'll receive the traffic peer review memo, hopefully. We'll talk about timing on that at a later date. And then we received a number of comments here today. What we'll add to this list too is we'll try to do some coordination with the folks in Avon so that we can at least have an initial hearing with them, hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And ideally, if we were able to accomplish all those things, when we appear before you on September 26th, to hopefully have provided enough to get a site plan approval at that point. That would be our goal, understanding that these processes are always evolving.
And as you know, because you do land use, from my standpoint and the other planner's standpoint, it takes a minimum of a month to get just to advertise and get to a hearing. A minimum for us.
Do you see any issues for?
No, I'm just letting you know that the September date is much more realistic than the August date, is what I'm telling you, because it just, in order to, the 2 weeks, the 1 week, 2 week prior, plus a week and a half to get to the paper, and those.
We won't need to be advertised again here. Would we continue to a date certain?
Right. I'm sorry.
We don't need to advertise, but.
I'm pointing out that if you haven't even scheduled it with Avon, for us in the regulatory, on the town side, Avon's got the same problem I do, is that in order to, schedule a hearing, just to meet the statutory notice requirements, literally takes us almost a month.
Yep, understood.
Yeah, so the September date's much more realistic.
Understood. And then the last slide is just questions. Obviously, we're happy to take more questions. If not, we're happy to ask for that continuance to that late September meeting. But us are certainly still open to questions.
One other question on the review, Craig, and is the review of the landscaping that, making sure we're following into the parking regulations that are required for for our town, because there's a sea of asphalt out here presently, and I know that this is a small piece of their thing, but it's still a substantial amount of work that's going to get done. And they are doing a fair amount of landscaping. I just want to make sure we're falling into what those regulations are going to be.
You're referring to the interior landscaping areas and so
Right.
forth?
And that would be limited. Again, this is another reason why we're going to need the joint meeting, is because I'm not sure, I can't speak intelligently about the landscaping requirements in both towns, but we will have the portion of the parking lot, obviously, and it's mostly the fuel facility and the landscaping requirements for Stoughton, and then the portions of the parking lot. And then there's a sort of a pre-existing issue there as well, because so much of it.
And that's part of the reason I'm bringing it up, just to make sure we're.
Fair enough.
Mr. Chairman, I looked at regarding, this is the area they're affecting. They're adding this huge island here, the small island, but then they're adding these end islands and this island, because here is the line right there.
Yep.
And I look at like some of the things that we're discussing here, even though we're going to take Avon didn't mind us consulting with a traffic engineer.
Right, they've kind of handed it off to us as far as.
Yeah,
that
but
goes.
I think because we do a lot more projects and we already have a consultant that's already.
Well, it didn't make sense to be paying for two of them anyway.
Yeah, and they don't have to, the impression I get is that they'd send out an RFP and that sort of thing because they don't have one on. We've already vetted one through our master services agreement, so.
I've got a couple questions. I actually am a member of Costco, and I go there. You're going to have essentially people that'll come to go shopping first and then go get their gas. So essentially, they're going to be taking that right-hand turn to go into the gas station on the exit, right?
Right, there's the ability to do that. You'd stop at the stop line and then proceed and make a right in.
So, and also, are you expanding the width of that road coming up where you've eliminated the extra parking? Is that going to be a wider road now? Because there is an issue with coming out of these parking lanes, trying to take a right-hand turn where people are actually almost hitting each other with the oncoming traffic.
Yeah, one of the things we addressed when we relocated or planned to relocate that exterior southern access road was to widen out for the reasons you mentioned, in addition to being able to facilitate truck traffic that uses that road to go around to the back. So
It is a very awkward exit and entry at this point. You know.
yeah, and that was one of the things we considered
At
when
a public hearing, people will be coming at you with that stuff.
oh, understood.
Anything else? Anything else?
I don't think so.
Richard? Paul? No. So, at this point?
I'll make a motion.
Well,
that
let
we-
him start first.
Costco would like to request a continuance to the September 26th meeting of the planning board.
Can I have a motion to accept, to push it to the September 26th, per their request?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I have a request to have,
I'd like to have a request that we have a joint meeting with.
well, not, one,
Peer review.
peer review, we need to have requests that Bill can get the peer review with no, sorry, the GPI first, that we can use
Staff,
GPI.
That we work on the peer
Staff
review.
would-
That we work on getting a peer review done
Right.
at the applicant's expense.
So be said.
So we said, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then we will venture to get a joint hearing. I don't think we need a vote on that.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Enjoy your summer. We'll see you in September.
See you then. Thank you. All right, next item is general business and meeting minutes.
I have read the minutes from, as submitted, and I have no comments or corrections.
Anybody else? Would you like us to put that on there, Paul? I know, but I'm just saying, you want us to continuously put that on there? We'll do the same for Richard next time, yeah?
Wow.
Default.
Talk about ratting them out.
Yeah, putting it on there, it's okay. Anybody else have any other comments?
No.
Can I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of June 13th, 2024? All in favor?
Aye.
Karen, thank you.
Nice job, Karen.
Okay, can I have a motion, unless, is there any other business? Anybody have any other business? Bill?
No, our next meeting is August 22nd. I will let you know, it's going to be a packed meeting. There are, just to kind of give you, you know it's been continued. There are 3 projects. One is on Turnpike Street. It's another land clearing of 4 lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it rains, it pours on the land clearing.
Isn't it the same owner, though?
It's, Absolute Builders. Yeah.
Same guy.
What, there was here tonight?
I'm not,
He sold the property to them. It's all the same. group.
it's right near Dimitri's. I don't believe it's
That's-
Dimitri.
It connects up to this property.
Right, but I don't believe he's Absolute Builders.
No, but he was the one who cleared,
He sold it.
and he cleared it before he sold.
No, the
Oh,
the Absolute Builders cleared it.
I'm under the wrong impression.
Yeah, the Absolute Builders. Then there there's a site plan review for Franklin Sports. They installed their pickleball/basketball court right next to the wetlands without permits. And so it's kind of an after-the-fact permit. They've gone through conservation. They need a site plan for that. And they decided, since they're going to go into site plan, there's some parking modifications they want to do. I said, well, roll it all into one application. And then there is another application that's been submitted on Turnpike Street around in the 1700 block. It's a commercial piece of property. They don't know what they want to do with it, but they're proposing a driveway access to get into the site. So literally, they're proposing a site plan review for a driveway. So
1700, is that where the Dunkin' Donuts is, down that area?
it's 1700 block. I don't know. Yeah, just north of Cabot Place.
Okay.
On the same side, on the west side.
That little bit of turnpike that crosses.
Yeah.
Old Turnpike.
So those are the three new ones. I don't, I think that the Franklins were, they're not real complex ones.
No, but he is still encroaching upon town property on Turnpike Street. Yes.
Which one?
Franklin?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean their landscaping?
Yes.
Yes. And actually, we met with them in their pre-app and with the code enforcement, and they've taken steps to move some, and they're going to look at moving others, the rest.
Yeah, I think they've moved some landscaping and
Just
things
a little.
off, but it's the material itself. The town doesn't want to have to be responsible to remove earth that has been placed on the right-of-way.
Yes.
And they decided
Want to do other improvements there.
And the discussion is that they're not going to do it yet. They want to get through the permit and because if they don't want to go out and do site work. If they're going to they're going to do some more site work again. They want to get the approval for what they want, and they're going to then remove all of that stuff. Okay. They want to do it the right way. Yeah. I have to tell you, the landscaping they put in and the berm, it was really nice. It's beautiful. They just put it on our right of way. That's all.
Yeah, if they held it back 4 feet, they would have been fine.
About 10.
Can I have a motion to close the meeting?
So made.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah. More blue paper for you, Bill. More blue paper.
You know, Craig, I've been over a year, but